Hey, startup family. Good morning to you all. Hope you all are doing well. I am Partharu, Event Program Manager for Microsoft Reactor, India, and welcome to our show Scale Up Thursday with Vinayak and Vivek. Hi, Vinayak. Hi, Vivek. How are you all doing?
Doing good,
Hi,
but
hi everyone. Welcome to the show.
hey, all, welcome back to the show. We are back. There was a lot of, almost like a 1 month gap. We took a holiday. That's the thing. January, right? And yeah, so myself, Vivek, and senior cloud advocate. I have Vinayak, CTO in residence for startups, and interestingly, we have a wonderful startup here today. Before we get started, Parth, do you want to go through
Yes,
the
let's
code
go
of
with our
conduct?
code of conduct. Yep. Please, before we begin, get through our code of conduct. We are all here to learn together. So please be respectful of other people's views. Understanding of differences, being kind and considerate in the way you all engage. And yes, obviously, we do encourage you all to participate. So please drop all your questions in the chat section. Over to Vinayak and Vivek to bring in the speakers for today's session.
Thanks, Parth. Thank you for getting us started on Scale Up Thursday. And I don't want to waste time. I'm gonna bring in two amazing founders from TRiDE Mobility, Madhav and Vignan. They are here to share some amazing things they have done in terms of EV marketplace. That's something which I learned yesterday as well. I was having a chat with them, and then I realized, wow, there is lots happening in that space, and I had no idea, right? And this is interesting, and I'm sure it will be interesting for the audience as well. So, Madhav and Vignan, welcome to this show. Thank you for being here on the Scale Up
Uh,
Thursday.
yeah, hi
Go ahead,
Vivek,
Madhav.
hi
Thank you for
Vinayak, and
having
hi
us.
Parth.
Hello.
So,
Thanks a lot.
so I was going through your
Thank you very much for
profiles.
having us over here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you. And I was going through your profiles, and Vignan has done bunch of startups, and he has been in
Yeah.
SRE. He has done. He's from Portland. I didn't know that you did graduation from Portland and stuff. So it is good. And Madhav is from the background of being in part of that the automobile industry, and basically building automobile industry, and he's been a mechanical engineer himself. So which is interesting. That's the major background you need when you're building something related to EV, right? And uh, please, Mother, let audience as well know, what is EV as well. It start with EV itself. What is EV? I've been mentioning EV, and people might not know what is EV, right? So start with that. And yeah, I've just formally introduced you. Please introduce yourself, both of you, and then we'll get started.
sure, Vivek. Thanks a lot for the introduction, and yeah, thanks again for having us over here. Yeah, I mean EV definitely stands for electric vehicle, and yeah, I mean. So right now we have this startup I mean dedicated in the EV space, specifically where which we actually founded with an objective to drive the EV adoption in India, by providing convenience to the customers on their fingertips, and providing cost effective technology solutions to the EV businesses out there in the market. So that has been our core objective. And to kind of summarize it, maybe, so we are actually an EV digital marketplace, and we do provide also SaaS operating system for the EV businesses to scale their business in a very efficient way. So that is in crisp terms. And a little bit about myself, and the kind of background story of setting up this, starting this company. So Yeah, like Vivek stated, I am a mechanical engineer from IIT BHU Varanasi, and post which I worked for companies like Maruti Suzuki and Tata Motors, wherein I was involved in a business development role, managing the channel partners, and also I was more on the hands-on part of it. I worked on engines, I worked on transmissions, so that has been the core, and over this period of experience, so basically I understood the different systems and processes that are there in the OEMs and across their network, basically to run their entire business. And we basically, even my founder, other founder, Kranti. So he's also a mechanical engineer, and then we both met at Maruti Suzuki and Tata Motors. So we were in the same team for almost 5-6 years, and we witnessed the impact of the early digitalization in this specific space. Basically, how it would actually drive the customer satisfaction and the overall business development. So that has been our journey in the automotive space. So I have close to 5+ years of work in the automobile space, working with giants like Maruti Suzuki, Tata Motors, and post that I did my MBA in global logistics and supply chain, and then I joined Blue Yonder, a supply chain SaaS company, which is was called a leader in the supply chain domain, wherein I was involved in digitalizing the supply chains of some of the Fortune 500 companies as a solution architect over there. So, from being a mechanical engineer, shifting to the software side, so that has been the transition. And yeah, and my co-founder, we both put together have 16+ years of work in the automobile space, and 5+ years of work in the and me personally have 5+ years of work in the supply chain SaaS domain. So basically, it's on this specific experience that we have actually built this company with an objective to drive the EV adoption in India. So that has been our experience, and typically, I mean, the trigger happened when one of our common friends actually wanted to purchase an EV, and back then in 2019, so EVs was in a very nascent phase. So that's when, being in the automobile space, we started also researching in the EV domain, and then we realized that there are definitely certain gaps in the market, which we have identified, and definitely it was coupled with a great market opportunity. So I mean, that was actually the trigger point for our startup, and then yeah, it has been 2+ wonderful years, and I believe like this is the right time to be in the EV space, because there's a lot of exciting things and a lot of innovation that's actually happening in this specific space. So yeah, I think that's a short intro about myself, and I think Vignan, it would be a right time to introduce
Yeah,
yourself.
sure, sure. Yeah, like I did. So I have been with TRiDE for almost 1 year. Previously, I completed my bachelor's in US, Portland, and then I got back to India. And then after that, I went on to join Akshay Automations, where I was the CTO, and I got exposed to Industry 4.0 there. They had multiple teams, not only IT. They had a hardware team and an automation team, and that was the time when I learned about Industry 4.0 and the new technologies that were coming in. And so we developed a lot of industrial IoT applications there. So that's where I learned to understand like the ground reality and how much of its importance plays in IT sector. And then after that, I along with the two of other my members, I founded Texom SRE. We did IT consulting, but mainly focused on IoT applications. And then where we developed a lot of data analytics kind of applications, where we are focused on data science and further. And then after that, we understood if we came in touch with Kranti and Madhav Garu at that time. They were approaching us for an application. Discussions were going on, and then we understood about collaborating. And then um, understanding, like I understood how much of EV plays the major role in India, and how much potential there is. And I thought collaborating and joining that team would be great. That's how I joined TRiDE, and been developing this product um, from the last year. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a kind of space where you were in, and the kind of background you have, and that's the base of this whole product, right? So that's the most
Yeah.
important thing. And to start with, Madhav and Vignan, let's start with the gaps in the EV market, right? So we can start with that, and probably we can go in depth into the discussions on various other things, which we did discuss yesterday, and for audience, it's going to be helpful as
Sure.
well. So let's get started with that.
Sure, sure. Yeah. So yeah, sure, Vivek. So I think so. Let us get into the gaps in the Indian EV market. So as we speak, there are close to 350 plus brands and 500 plus models that are available in the Indian EV market. So a typical consumer who wants to purchase an EV is faced with multitude of questions, like which model do I need to purchase? Does it fit my needs? I mean, are these vehicles even reliable? Also, are there any financing options that are available out there in the market? Also, once I purchase it, where do I get it repaired? Where do I get it charged? So on and so forth. And this is typically the question that is there in the minds of each and every customer out there in the market. And then we also have other players in the market like the OEMs and other businesses, OEMs, the channel partners, and other businesses who are actually looking to increase their sales and scale their business in a very cost effective manner. Like I stated, there are 350 plus brands available in the market, and there's a new brand that actually coming up every other week. So they face an intense competition, and they are always on the lookout uh, for cost effective ways to scale their business. And then we also have the other players in this space like the service providers, and these would include the finance providers, insurance providers, roadside assistance providers, and charging infra providers. And these service providers are trying to address specific gaps in this market, and they are looking to access the EV buyer info to offer their services. And we as TRiDE are well placed to address these gaps in the market, and we do it through our tech enabled platform. So we can go to the next slide. So yeah, so how do we address these gaps? Through our unified tech platform, which is a combination of a B2, a B2C, I mean, digital marketplace for the end consumers and a SaaS operating system for the EV businesses. So first, I mean, we'll just give you a glimpse about our digital marketplace. So it's a marketplace where customers can research, evaluate, explore, compare the different options that are available in the market. So when we actually started our startup journey, so this was our starting point where we wanted to address these gaps that are being encountered by the end consumers. So customers so we have listed close to almost 250 plus models right now in our digital marketplace. And we also do provide a lot of information like the latest happenings that is happening across the EV space right now, and what are the vehicles, what are their specs, what are their technical capabilities. And we also do have certain ML based deployments in this specific platform, which helps in in enhancing the overall customer retail experience. So for example, we have a no EV ML based no EV engine. It's a custom vision based machine learning model. So any customer, if he sees any EV on the road or in a showroom, so they can just take a picture of the vehicle model or the vehicle logo, and immediately they'll get the details of all the specs and the technical features of that specific model. And they'll also get the relevant news, all these details at a single place. So basically these are the kinds of things that we are actually bringing up. And we are also currently working on a recommendation ML based recommendation engine, which will suggest the right products to the customer based on their profile. So it's not just a kind of discovery platform, but there's much more beyond than being a discovery platform. And we also have partnered with a lot of service providers like the finance providers, insurance providers, roadside assistance providers. So customers can actually avail these services on our platform as well. So for example, finance, we are digitally integrated with the finance providers, and within a span of, I guess, a couple of hours, the money gets credited into the customer's account, and they'll be able to go and purchase the vehicle of their choice. So that is the way in which we are actually looking at this specific digital marketplace. So right now, I mean, in terms of monetization, we are also not monetizing. This is totally a free platform that is available for the customers, and they can, and we are also kind of analyzing the macroscopic trends, like what exactly are the models that the customers are looking for, and what are the kind of the options, the colors, the build of the vehicle, the models, the brands which they are actually looking at. So these are the macroscopic trends that we are actually kind of currently understanding from the market, and we intend to provide these inputs to the OEMs out there, that hey, see, this is what the customer is actually expecting, and then you need to kind of plan your product according to that. So that is a bit about the digital marketplace that we have. And then along with this, we have an next slide. We can go to the next slide.
Yeah, in this slide, so I just want to ask you a question. Like, you have two different kinds of customers, right? One is people who are looking to buy EVs, and there are people who are OEMs, who are basically selling these EVs, and who need a lot of data in terms of how they want to sell this. And then also, obviously, you have finance and you have other things which is required by the person who is buying it. So two different kinds of customers with whom you are working. Am I correct? All
Yes, that is
both,
absolutely correct, Vivek. Yeah.
Do you
and both
also
of
work
them.
with do you
Yeah,
also
yeah,
work
Vinay.
with commercial customers, like people who want to maybe like either rent or buy a whole lot of vehicles maybe for delivery kind of? I mean, delivery is one use case,
Yes.
but that kind of use case as well.
Yes, Vinayak. I mean, like we have dealt with a few B2B players, especially who want to kind of electrify their fleet. So we kind of, partner with them as a consulting partner, and then we recommend the right products that actually fit their business need. So we have worked almost with, I believe, almost four such B2B players as well in the market. So since we have been in the market from the past 2.5 years, we do understand like the different models that are available and which would be actually applicable to the business need which these B2B players are looking for. Yeah, and I think rightly stated, Vivek. I mean, we also collaborate with OEMs as well, basically over here. So, I mean, this is not just a discovery platform. So, as on date, we have partnered with, for example, in Hyderabad, we have partnered with 80% of the brands available in the city. So, any customer who wants to have a test drive of a vehicle in Hyderabad, so they can always drop a request on our platform, and we immediately connect with their nearest that specific dealer for taking the test drive, for handling that entire process. So that is where we are right now, and we have also enabled the purchase of EVs on our platform. Although it is enabled, but yeah, I mean, the Indian market is currently not that matured that they purchase immediately from the online. But I would see that happening maybe 5 or 7 years down the line. But right now, the test drive, so we also get a good number of test drive inquiries, especially in Hyderabad.
Got it. So let me move
Yeah.
to the next slide.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So the other part of our platform is the SaaS operating system, which actually helps helps the EV businesses, OEMs, EV parts suppliers, spare parts suppliers, EV channel partners, to basically scale their business in a very cost-effective way. So when we actually started, like I stated, when we started this company, so we were purely focused on the digital marketplace. So with respect to that, we used to interact with a lot of OEMs out there in the market. So that is when we actually realized that there's actually a bigger problem at the OEM's front as well, that we need to kind of address. So 80 to 90% of the issues that 80 to 90% of the offerings that we provide utilizing our SaaS operating system has actually come to us through some or the other EV business out there in the market. So we have built these solutions based on their inputs, and some of them we are also kind of co-working along with them and are developing these solutions for the EV domain. So the idea is that right now the EV market is actually in a very nascent phases. So I would say all the companies that are out there in the market, so the average age would be, I think, close to 2 to 3 years. I mean, if you put all the OEMs together, it would be 2 to 3 years, and they are in the very nascent phases, and they are looking to collaborate with a kind of a technology partner who can actually help them provide these kind of solutions, which can actually help them scale their business in a very cost effective way. So ideally, now coming to the actual offerings that we do offer to them. So one is basically the end-to-end operations management system. Uh, so utilizing this, we actually help the EV OEMs to transform from just being an offline, having an offline presence, to a omni-channel, effective omni-channel platform. So we digitalize all the customer touch points for that specific OEM, and they'll also be able to manage their end-to-end operations and supply chain activities using our SaaS management system. And this is a modular, user-friendly, cost-effective system that we have built specifically for the EV domain. So therefore, because of this, it actually helps in reduced deployment time to implement these solutions at their business. So that is on the the management part. Yeah.
So
Sorry.
this is completely, for management of EV operations, right? So EV sales operations, in fact.
Yes. And
So end to end service, after
it's
sales,
it's an
service based,
yeah.
manufacturing, assembly, everything you're taking care of uh, through your platform
Correct.
itself. Okay, this is good.
Correct. Right from your procurement till your post sales, so which includes your inventory management, production planning, and then your distribution, invoices, billing, and then point of sales. So everything is kind of encompassed in this specific management system. And then to add to it, the other things that we also have is basically the expertise which actually Vignan brings onto the table, based the industry 4.0, typically where we help these EV manufacturers to kind of digitalize their production line. So we have our traceability server, basically that is an IoT based system where we track the individual child parts that go into the assembly of the vehicle. And there are also a lot of validations that will ensure that the right part actually goes into the right model. So whenever typically there will be a model, but there will be different variants in it. And in the assembly line, whenever an operator is trying to fit a wrong part in that model, in the wrong variant, so typically there will be a flag that will be generated. Hey, I think this is not the right part. You need to kind of check it. So that is the kind of validations that we are doing. And the other use case for this specific traceability is that the recalls that typically happen whenever there are any kind of a batch failures that happen. Uh, so the manufacturers will be able to easily track, manufacturers, or for that matter the spare parts, even the part suppliers. So they'll be able to track the entire batch, like which is this batch and in which vehicles are these specific child parts fitted. So they'll be able to plan that recall activity very much effectively. And also there are certain norms that have actually come up right now with especially on the battery front, where the OEMs are mandated to track the individual cells that go into the assembly of the battery. So typically, we are currently co-working with an OEM developing this specific system where we track. There will be close to 200 plus cells that actually go into a battery assembly, and we track the individual cell that goes into this battery pack. So that because of the incidents that we have seen in the EV space earlier, so there have been a lot of compliance norms that have actually come up, especially on the battery front. And we are also providing solutions to that. And we are also working with the machine tool suppliers for these OEMs, where we are tracking certain use cases, like, for example, the work sequence during assembly of the vehicle, and then basically the torque at which the vehicles are being fitted. So these are some of the use cases that we are working. And since EV is in a very nascent phases, I believe the solution that we are developing, working with these OEMs, is very much applicable to all the OEMs out there in the market. And coming to this is at a child part level and the spare part level, and then coming to the full assembly, full vehicle, we do provide the telematics capabilities also, where they can track the key vitals of the EV, basically, like what is the speed, what is the travel history of the vehicle, and then what is the performance of the battery, temperatures in the battery, basically the individual cell temperatures and performance of the battery. The key vitals can be tracked, and we are also working on certain advanced systems like over-the-air updates utilizing this telematics. So all in all, like it's a
While
combination of an operation management system.
so while you're
Yeah,
on battery, so I just don't want to miss out this question actually, which came in, um, because the question is
sure.
from Ravi. Basically, he's asking, EV batteries and battery technology is expensive and need a better approach to battery. So if there is anything you have, any insight you have, probably you can help Ravi.
Sure. So based on our understanding, the battery technology is different, is definitely currently evolving a lot. I mean, when we actually started and the current place where we are in, there is a lot of development that has been happened in terms of the overall performance of the battery. I mean, utilizing different cell compositions for these batteries. I mean, earlier there were, three to four I could recollect. One is the NMC combination, and then lithium ion cells, NMC combination, lithium ferrophosphate cells. And earlier we used to have lead acid, which is now kind of totally phased out. So there is actually a lot of, I mean, R&D that is happening in this specific space. But as on date, the effective ones that are being utilized are the lithium ion batteries in the basically the battery assembly. And yeah, I mean, I believe even till I would say 6 months before, these entire cells have been kind of like we had to rely on the neighboring countries for getting these cells in order to assemble it and then fit it in the vehicle. And right now, there are some big companies who have actually invested a lot in this specific space and are trying to commercially produce these batteries, so that the overall cost of what do you say, development and deployment in the vehicle actually goes down. I mean, that's really very valid point, because battery itself comprises of 40 to 50% of the vehicle cost in the overall pricing. And getting that thing right is the what do you say, the way forward. And yeah, a lot of
Perfect.
innovation is happening in that space, and expecting pretty soon for the prices to go down.
Perfect. Keeping time into consideration, so we'll quickly move to the key technologies, which is there
Yes.
important in while building this. I know this process we already have discussed, so uh, more of like
Yes.
both
Yes.
OEMs and customer journey. So we can discuss this later, but I think this will be very interesting for the audience as well, like the key technologies which is involved in building this.
Sure, Vivek. So, yeah, I mean, all our offerings are SaaS based, typically, where we have developed all these modules in a very modular and scalable fashion, which which the OEMs and the businesses out there can pick and choose the relevant ones which they would be required. And definitely, I mean, the architecture is such that which Vignan will walk us through in the coming slides, where I mean, it will help in scaling the business in a very cost-effective way. So it's totally SaaS offerings that we provide on a subscription basis, and it's a plug-and-play, modular, scalable, user-friendly system that we have built. And in terms of some of the technologies that we are utilizing, is one is definitely the AI/ML. So like I stated, in our EV marketplace, we have a couple of ML based engines which we are utilizing to improve the overall customer retail experience. So definitely the no EV engine and the recommendation engine. And in terms of AI ML, so we have worked on one of the use cases in for one of the OEMs on advanced driver assistance system. Basically, where we are utilizing the custom vision service provided by Azure, where we are identifying the potholes on the road, and kind of relaying this information to the driver assistance system. So that is one of the use cases that we have worked upon, and it's also very much relevant in what do you say, in a civic authority sense as well. So utilizing this development that we have built, we have also provided a kind of a small solution to the pilot to the Hyderabad Municipal Corporation recently, wherein we track the live, the potholes that are available on the road, and we provide them on a dashboard. Basically, they'll have an entire dashboard showing the pothole distribution across the city, and then they can act upon that. So this is one of the other use case where we have worked and deployed a pilot. And then coming to IoT, the industry, the traceability server and the vehicle telematics, it's all driven by the Internet of Things, basically, where we put in our hardware and different modules which help us to track this information and take it to the cloud, do the necessary computing, and then relate to the necessary stakeholders for taking necessary action. And coming to the analytics, so basically we develop reports, dashboards, and analytics based on the requirement of the client, because since it's in a very every business is a kind of unique one. So we kind of customize the analytics and the reports or the dashboards very much relevant to that OEM. So these are the key technologies that we are utilizing, and in more in terms of maybe the technical architecture, I think Vignan will be taking it in the subsequent slides.
So I had a follow-up question on the IoT part. So do you attach to the OBD port? How do you kind of install that in the EV? Is it different from a IC, which is internal combustion engine, or IC engine, as well?
So typically we have like different hardware components. So some of them we can directly attach it to the OBD port, especially maybe in cars that is readily available, where we can actually fit it. In the two-wheelers, basically right now, the CAN system or this kind of protocol is not available in most of the vehicles. So, however, it is being mandated by the government, and I think coming vehicles will have all these features where we can directly plug into their OBD system and get the relevant details out. But right now we have a kind of an embedded system which we can directly connect to their existing components, we need a power supply, and there'll be certain other connections that we need to do, and then yes, we are live providing the vitals of the EVs. So yeah.
That's kind of interesting that you don't have that CAN protocol supported in EVs, because I think it's pretty much standard in internal combustion engine, and pretty much all of the cars that come through.
Correct.
Yeah, and just for our audience, I think OBD is an onboard diagnostic. That's a sport, because nowadays I think
So
most
that's
of the cars are also full of electronics. Even internal combustion engine cars are full of electronics. So this kind of gives you a sense of how fast the vehicle is going. What is, like, in some sense, like the wear and tear also, in some sense, the speed at which it is going, and if you're braking or if you're accelerating, all of that behavior also can be captured. Yeah, I think if there are no questions, Vivek, we can probably move to the next slide as well.
Yeah, we can move on, but there are questions which are coming in, but we can take that at the end of the session, because those are
Sure.
relevant questions which we will take it at the end. But for the audience, you can keep posting the questions in the chat, and we will pick one by one. So let's move on to the tech part of it. How are you building it and stuff like that? So yes, Vignan, over to you.
Yeah, so right. When we started approaching, we understood like there are a lot of things that needed to be done while preparing this solution. So we understood we started with a digital marketplace. So this is typical Next.js application, and then we wanted to make it more user friendly and to adapt to a lot of conditions and or any extensions that we might require. And then we started building, we understood like we have to build this OEMs as well. We have to build a solution with SaaS operating system for the OEMs. And then we kind of delved into, okay, so what kind of technology stack would we require? How do we approach this? So as it's in nascent stage, we understood like it requires a lot of customizability, lots of modularity. We have to add more and more capabilities moving on. So we started with a microservices architecture. So we started building backend in Golang and using typical REST API. And then we put everything in Docker Swarms on Azure VMs. And then after going through building phases, at one stage we understood that just keeping it in the Docker Swarm it won't be sufficient. So we have to take advantage of newer technologies because we are adding a lot of capabilities like AI and ML services, and also a lot of moving parts are there. So we started slowly moving from Docker Swarms to Kubernetes, and here we divide like we are still in early stages of adopting AKS, Azure Kubernetes Services. We are still, I think, we only touched a tip of the iceberg of the services that AKS offers. So we started creating pods for EV rights operating system, and then also we did for traceability as well, because these two, what we understood is like these two components are very much needed, to handle the data that is coming in, to handle like a lot of features are being added continuously, so we have to maintain version control, and we have to have this automated. So we adapted to AKS. And then currently we are also developing other capabilities we have been discussing. We are developing a fleet management solution and also IoT capabilities where we can add for the OEMs at the manufacturing level or at the assembly line level as well. We can read the data directly from the machines, from PLCs, CNCs, and help with their production line, assembly line, and also getting to the fleet management. We know that we are putting in telematics devices in the vehicles, making it like Internet of Vehicles, where we understood we have to gather lots of data that is going to come in, and and also the other thing over the air updates to the telematics unit as well. So we are developing that, and so they are still in development stage. So we are putting them in on Azure VMs. Then so all these services are interlinked. Some of them are on AKS and some of them on our VMs. And then we took advantage of Azure services like Cosmos DB. A lot of time series data that is being rolled in. So we are keeping that, and then we are any kind of reports, any kind of files that are required by OEM to store, we are taking advantage of file storage and blob storage. Coming to AI and ML, we are using Madhav already stated, we are using Azure Custom Vision to develop. One solution we have developed is pothole detection. The other is Know Your EV, where we have used Azure Custom Vision, to develop the models and showcase the results. And the other things we have been using is Azure Functions. So typically for any kind of processing heavy intensive nodes, we are using Azure Functions, taking advantage of that. Yeah, so this is our typical architecture. I can go further into that in a it's like
Yeah, so I wanted to kind of go a little bit deeper into how you do the over-the-air update. So, like, if you can tell us a little
right,
bit, like, because I think the cars would continually be in operation. So, how do you decide, when to update, how to update, and what is like the
right,
pipeline for actually pushing that out?
right.
So maybe that would be interesting to our viewers.
Sure, sure, definitely. So the one challenge with over the air updates is the network, like reliability of network. And if we continuously get telematics data, and we also inform the user like there is an update to be performed, and then we can't have the vehicle moving while the update is being done. So that's one thing for sure. So what we do is like we understand if the vehicle is moving or not, and we typically alert the user. And then what we do is we do a stage wise rollout. So we basically have an interface where we send like versions, we keep the versions of the update, and we test it thoroughly before rolling out. And then once we are satisfied, like we understand like the bin file or whatever we are sending it for the update is tested thoroughly first at our local site, and then we send the file to the servers, where the server will handle rolling out to like understand the vehicle state first, and then understand if the network is good enough, and then it will send the file there. Once the file is downloaded, and normal over the air update process takes over, where the device itself, whatever the device we have put in, it understands if it can perform the update or not, and then it typically does the update process. So this process is more like like before we can send, we basically make sure like like lot of conditions are met. uh, how is the network, how is the vehicle moving, did we alert the user, these kind of things. Yeah,
Great. Yeah, we can cover the rest of the architecture in detail now. Thanks. We can.
sure, sure. Yeah. Yeah, so like I said, so we are just touching tip of the iceberg of what AKS provides. So what we have done is like we have carefully made all the services. We divided each micro, like we built everything modular. So we built different microservices for different kind of solution that we are offering. Like for example, catalog. So that's basically for SKU management, orders, whatever order management that is there. So we built these individual services where we put them in a pod, and we are rolling them in. We have so we have used Azure DevOps. So we have built pipelines where we push the update to one service, one microservice, and that can automatically trigger an update on the Microsoft at the Kubernetes level. And then once these all services are in there, we just do a test run in our test environment, and then we deploy it to the production. And like while doing all of this, we just make sure like all the data, all the APIs are working or not. So we typically do it in a, like, we don't deploy all the update at once. We just typically do in normal stage wise, where we roll out one by one. And then for coming to, that's for EV rights whole solution. Coming to traceability, one thing we understood here is typically OEMs, they don't want all of their data to be uploaded onto the cloud server. They might require the data to be stored at their premises level as well. So we built kind of a hybrid solution where some portion of the data which is free and which they don't want to expose to the outside world, we keep it in there on their servers. But typically like normal like user logins, authentication, or any analysis that they want us to do, any reports. So these services we have moved on to the like Azure cloud. So this is how we are managing with AKS and these services. And then similarly we offer AI and ML services to our clients, where like on the customer space we provide vehicle recommendations and know your EV, so they can basically uh, download our app, and then they can scan a vehicle, like its name or something, and then it will analyze it, and it will show like the vehicle details, and it will recognize the vehicle, and it will show all the vehicle details. The other thing that we are offering is demand forecasting. So if we get the OEM data, like their sales and everything for last 2 to 3 years, we generally do a demand forecasting for that. And for that, we are using Azure functions, function apps, and also some of the ML models that we have done. So that's on the AML side. This is
So,
for
so,
operating system.
so I have one question. So you said you have some data in the hybrid model, like you have data which is at the customer
Right.
side, and you do interact with it. What is the typical architecture? Like what you do, and how do you interact with those data, and um, probably you do analysis on that data, or I'm not sure what are the use cases you are having.
Right. So the one thing here, the use case is like inventory management. Let's say inventory management. What happens is at the traceability server, they need to track each individual asset by one of the barcode or QR codes that they have put on it. And what we do is like we keep all this data, like whatever they have generated, all the data on their servers only. We don't expose it to outside. But the inventory usage, like let's say they have come in, they have procured 1000 parts today, they have sent it, they have tested it, and they have sent it to the production like 100 parts, and then they have these work orders are placed, and then sometimes there is a rework need to be done. Something, some test failed, some scenario. So these, what can be the reasons for rework? What are the various inventory, the supply chain, entire thing, what is happening on that level. So these usage data, and any rework, what kind of reasons are they are putting into the system. So this data is typically sent to the both to their ERP server and also to our server, where we do analysis. But their individual tracking elements, like whatever they have generated and they don't want it to expose to the world, we keep it on their servers. We don't use that data.
So you mean to say they have their own private cloud, and you're interacting with their
Yeah.
private cloud, and then you're working
Yeah.
on top of that. Okay, got it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Vinayak, you have any
You
questions in
can go
this
to the
slide?
next.
No, no.
Okay, I'm moving to next slide then.
Yeah. So this is more of IoT services that we provide, and also the fleet management services that we are developing currently. So here, basically, not only traceability, what we thought is we can also help with manufacturing side of things. Interact with their machines at PLC, CNC level, where we can gather data. We can create a digital twin for the machines on our servers. They can see like a whole like machine performance, what is happening, maintenance of it. Like each and every sensor actuator data we can gather it from the machines directly, and then we store it uh, on our cloud, and then we kind of do an analysis on top of that, where we can provide predictive maintenance, those kind of services. So that's on the internet of things side. So we are currently expanding into fleet management as well, where we are understanding how the like all the vehicles that are come on road, how they are being used. So what we thought is like provide a fleet management solution. So we are providing telematics unit, where like I previously stated, quota about their updates, or putting in vehicle GPS units, where we try to showcase the location of the vehicles of their fleet basically, and how they are being used. So we do this, and on top of this, what we are offering is like automatic driver assistance system, where we have developed like detecting the road conditions of like potholes, objects on the road. And the other thing, we also understood that there is a lot of paperwork involved when when a fleet is recruiting a driver. So what we thought is, like simplify that process, how we can do that. So for that, like typically a driver onboarding process would typically involve like, collecting all the details, their Aadhaar card, PAN card, and so on and so forth. We made it easy where you just, gather the data, upload all the relevant files, identification files, and we analyze that uh, all that data, and we see if there are any discrepancies in that provided data, and we just point to that here, the name on the other card and name on the PAN card, they are not matching, you might want to look into. So these are the kind of analysis that we are performing. And then on apart from that, we are also providing an analytics engine, like like route optimization, like how their vehicles are being used on the routes, how typically is it busy. So these kind of things uh, we have used for for this one. Yeah.
So I have a question here. So, is there a specific reason why you chose Azure VMs over Kubernetes service for this to manage this Internet of Things and Internet of Vehicles, or is it that you're just trying this out in VMs now and probably you will move it to Kubernetes?
Yeah. Yeah, so typically how we are starting is like setting up Kubernetes. We have limited number, we are startups. Setting up a Kubernetes cluster, it takes time, and I wanted to make sure like once we have all the phases are all the things are putting, then I can be okay. I can start investing my time, putting all the like configurations and everything on the Kubernetes. So yeah, I mean, to be honest, when we started with the first two services, also we initially developed uh, on VMs on in using Docker zones, and then we slowly migrated it to container apps, and then we migrated into AKS. So that's how our journey has been. Yeah.
Fantastic. That's
No, I think
something which is good to
that's a
know.
good call actually. I mean the transition that you said, that first using like VMs then container apps, and I think that is the right way to go, especially for like a small growing startup. I had a follow up question. I was thinking through what you said about the data services, and I saw that you use MongoDB, blob storage, Cosmos DB, and file storage. How do you use I mean, again, each of them has like a specific purpose. So I just wanted to to compare and contrast what is has been your experience with each of those, and what are the use cases that kind of drive each of these. Because what I heard from you is that,
Right.
yeah, there's a lot of unstructured data, telemetry data, time series data that comes. So how do you kind of distribute it, and how do you decide like where it does it go, in what sense?
Right. So let's say a lot of data that is coming at a faster rate. We typically, what we thought is like, any data that is coming from telematics or from any time series data. Basically, what we did is we started initially pouring it into MongoDB, and any of the other data, like any relational data like user management or order processing, those kind of data we started putting in Cosmos DB. So, and once the other thing is also like we have to understand the use case. Like when I said there, we have to develop hybrid solutions, and we are deploying in their private cloud. What we usually did is we deployed with MongoDB, because we understood like we need the customizability. Like their data patterns might change randomly. So that's why went with document based database, and then like any typical relational data, any of that sorts, we are going with Cosmos DB, because it's very easy to interact with that. I can easily, like, in order to test something really quick, I can put a API service directly on top of Cosmos DB, and I can test it out real quick, and it will be like very simple. And coming to file and blob storage, so file storage is typically all the invoices and other things that like OEM generates, or any customer profile and whatnot, we are putting on file storage. And coming to blob storage, these are basically all the images of the all the, like, on our site, on our customer website. So we are putting on blob storage. The plan is to move all these, like based on the usage, we are moving it to CDN as well. Yeah.
Cool, cool.
So before we go to the, seeing the platform, there are a couple of questions which we will take. There is Arun who's asking, uh, based on your experience with OEMs, what is the biggest hurdle in EV sales, specifically OEM face? If they're doing sales, what is the biggest hurdle for them? That's basically your
So
business.
maybe I think I'll take that question because yeah, yeah. So I mean, over the period of last 2.5 years, we have interacted with a lot of OEMs. I mean, I'll not take the names, but like we have actually interacted with OEMs where they have sold close to 4,000, 5,000 vehicles, but they do not have a track to whom actually these vehicles have been sold. I mean, they have a track that okay, these are the vehicles that we have shipped to our dealer or our channel partner, and then who is the end customer who's actually buying it. So these are some of the aspects which they didn't at all kind of looked into from the start. So that kind of impacts the overall service aspects. Basically, like whenever a customer like what would be typically there will be a 4 month kind of vehicle checking that typically needs to happen in an EV. Ideally, that is the current norm, and these OEMs actually miss out on this opportunity, which have actually created a lot of issues, performance related issues in the vehicles, and then it kind of dissatisfaction started, and then it slowly spreaded into the market through word of mouth that okay, these vehicles, although they are good, but on the service front these are not so great. So OEMs, I mean, they yeah, definitely I wouldn't say all of them, but because since there is a lot of competition, their focus has been corely totally on sales. I mean, I I mean, especially on the service front and also on the vehicle development front, I would say the R&D part of it, improving the performance. So these are some of the key things which I think as an OEM they need to focus, because any OEM that actually comes into the market with their brand value, because typically the OEMs who are coming, some of them already have some brand value associated. So with those brand value, they actually are able to kind of penetrate into the market. But if they are not able to kind of catch up with the R&D that's happening on the vehicle performance side and also on the service side, so these are the key factors I believe which is currently lacking in the OEMs. I wouldn't say again all, but definitely because of the intense competition, the focus hasn't been this. It's purely on capturing the market share. So that has been the focus. But I believe that I mean, the OEMs who are actually investing on R&D and systems which can actually help them scale their business and also ensure a proper customer service would actually prevail in the long run.
Got it. So we'll quickly move on to seeing the platform, and then we can take a couple of more questions. Um,
Sure.
so you're going to share something,
We can.
Vignan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
So let me move this out.
Yeah. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, I'm just
Yes.
adding that to the stream. It's coming. Yeah,
Yeah.
we can see.
So let me start. Yeah. Let me start with our customer offering first. So this is our customer focused store on digital marketplace where we are listing all the EV marketplace, all the players in the EV marketplace where we show we I think we have close to 300 vehicles listed here. So this is more like a information providing. They can customer can use it as a research platform here, so they can see all the vehicles. They can get the latest news. They can understand a lot of what brands are available and any tips that we are providing on that. And yeah, they can filter like all the vehicles that are available. They can get a in-depth detail of all the features that vehicle can provide, like specifications, features. So here we are providing all this for the customer, and they can also write their own reviews, and they can see have a savings calculator where they can compare EV to any petrol-based vehicle, and they can see how much they are saving. Then we also have a compare options where they can compare 2 to 3 vehicles. So they can just choose a bike model and what kind of variant, and then we show a summary of all the features, and they can compare it. So this is our marketplace, digital marketplace, and then we have our EV rights. So this is our SaaS platform for the EV business. Here, we are we almost have like 75 plus channel partners with us who have partnered with us, and the services we are providing, is for like the sales and marketing, where they can understand the digital that customer journey from start to end, lead management, and we provide a mobile app for them to track everything, and also any reviews, and then also inventory management, where they can like buy a vehicle or spare parts, they can get that inventory management. And we also provide like demand forecasting and other solutions as well. Then like any accounts and management, like any payments, billings, invoice generation. So let me show you the typical dashboard here. So this is a typical dashboard where we are providing for the manufacturer. So we provide a lot of modules for them to organize, and part of that is demand forecasting that I was speaking about. So yeah, based on their sales data, we forecast what their future sales might look like. So this is for the operating system. So here they can maintain all their channel partners. We do provide like like they can manage their sites, websites, they can manage their digital presence, they can manage their leads, and we all the services like finance, inventory management, their service management as well. So we do provide all these solutions here. And then going on to the next one, this is our traceability server, where we are providing solution for the to track individual spare parts and everything. Okay, while this is loading, I will show you the pothole management. So this is one of the solutions we have built as part of our advanced driver assistance system, where we analyze the road conditions, and we provide a summary. So this is solution we have offered to GHMC. So we have taken videos of roads, and where we identified potholes on that road. We understood like how many. We also gave them like a summary, like how many uh, uh, severity of that potholes and everything. So yeah, you can see like we provide images, and we identify the pothole and everything. So this is our pothole management, and then coming to our traceability server. So this is where we track uh, each and every spare part, child part on the assembly line, where typically coming to EVs space, there are typically two lines: vehicle line and battery line. So here, what they can do is, they can generate a barcode. They can attach it to the that vehicle, and then they can see like which barcode, which child part is associated with one. So they get a summary of that, and for that vehicle, like if there is a vehicle with VIN number of so and so, what's its stage, where it is, what's its battery that has been associated, and any motor that has been associated, and any rework is also recorded here, so that we understand what can be the reason for the rework, and what are the parts that are going into the vehicle. So these are the systems that we typically provide to the EV space. Yeah.
So,
Any
so
questions?
that, yeah, the pothole management you have, the videos which
Yeah.
you take, it's all you are all taking these videos and posting it onto uh, pushing it to blob storage, and then
Right. Right.
you're running custom vision on that, um, and bring
Yeah.
getting this information here, right? So okay,
Right.
it's interesting use case.
Yeah. Yeah. So here, what we did is like for the we take the dash cam video. we have taken that, like, like for 4 to 5 minutes of footage. So we have uploaded it to the blob storage, where it typically triggers the. So we have trained our models using custom vision, and once we upload the video, it triggers a Azure function app, where it runs, it splices the video into frames, and each frame is analyzed, and then we typically show all the like potholes that we have identified, and how much confidence it is, and what's the severity of that pothole is also showed here. Yeah.
Cool. There is one question from Ayush, specifically from battery specific. So, how are you targeting and optimizing EV charging and battery swapping? Can you explain in terms of both software and hardware innovations there?
Yeah, sure. I'll take that question. So I think it's a very valid question, especially on the EV charging front. I mean, definitely. We are not actually getting into any like the development or of that sort of the EV charging. But yeah, I mean, in our digital marketplace, we are in the process of actually listing all the charging stations that are available, which will be helpful for the customers to choose them. But yeah, on the battery swapping front, so recently we have, we got an kind of a requirement from one of the battery swapping provider, where they want to kind of track the individual batteries, typically once the swapping is done, because the earlier cases that we handled was the battery used to be inside the vehicle. So whenever we attach a tracking unit to the vehicle, so typically the tracking is being done. But in case of a battery swapping, the battery actually needs to be tracked instead of the vehicle. So that is something which the battery swapping, tracking of the batteries, is also something that we are currently working with one of the mobility company, which is kind of providing this kind of solution. So I would say we are in a little bit, what do you say, still working on a solution for this tracking to deploy it on a commercial scale. So yeah, we are working on basically the tracking of the batteries in the swapping ecosystem. So that is, yeah, the use case that we are currently working on.
Okay, there are a couple of more
Yeah, and
questions
sorry,
coming in.
that would entail both the software and hardware part of it. So the tracker is
Yeah.
also something that we'll be providing, and even the management, the entire software management also is something that we'll be taking care of. Yeah, yeah,
Okay, there are bunch of questions coming in now. So,
sure.
so one is basically, where do you see we can improve the supply chain?
Okay.
This is from
So
Vishwas.
right now, sure. Yeah. So I think the main challenge right now that we see in the EV OEMs is that, like I said, the average age of the OEMs out there in the market is close to 2 to 3 years, and there are close to 350 plus players in the market. And earlier, like I would say, like 2 years back or 1.5 years back, it was purely like most of the stuff was being got from outside, and it was assembled and kind of deployed into the market. But recently, with the government intervening and providing certain, what do you say, strict compliances, regulations, and all, so all these all these OEMs are actually looking for localization. So they are, right now, I would say, in the, process of actually setting up this supply chain. If I would say in terms of the maturity model of the supply chain of all the players in the market, so I would say they are very much in the initial phases. So I think once that entire localization aspect is taken care of, I believe that is when systems like ours, I think that will actually help them connect with all the key stakeholders in the supply chain, and where they can kind of seamlessly transfer all the relevant information, materials, utilizing systems or platforms like us. But yeah, all the OEMs, I would say, are in the process of setting up their supply chains. I wouldn't say no OEM is kind of 100% perfect with their supply chains right now. It's all being set up. And yeah, I mean, people who kind of deploy these management solutions at the nascent phases will be able to kind of able to handle the scale once they kind of increase their sales or increase their volumes in terms of manufacturing.
Okay, I think there's some issue with Vivek's this thing. Not a problem. Going ahead. So we have one more question from Viresh. Would you like to take it? Yep, I'm bringing the question. How you see market of EV as
Sure.
there is no sufficient infra available with respect to charging points, especially four wheelers.
Yeah, I think that's a very valid question. So if you see, yeah, I think there is a lot of what do you say? I mean, work that is being done on developing the charging infrastructure, especially for the four wheelers. Yeah, you have rightly pointed out. But if you look at two wheelers and three wheelers, so right now we have models which can clock almost close to 150 kilometers or 200 kilometers per charge. So typically, which the users will be actually utilizing for the intra-city transfer, and that is much more than required. Anyone who is going for beyond 200 kilometers on a bike, I think that will be a specific use case. But yeah, for the four wheelers, I would say, yeah, the charging infrastructure it's actually currently being focused upon, and it's being so that is the reason we see the penetration levels also very much higher on the three wheeler and two wheeler front when compared to the four wheeler. So if you look at three wheelers, we have almost 40-45 plus percentage penetration in the overall sales of the three wheelers. 45% are EVs actually. However, in two wheelers, it is still around 2% to 2.5%, but yeah, it's actually picking up. But yeah, for the four wheelers, this charging infrastructure is definitely a hindrance right now, which I think a lot of players out there are working to address this specific gap.
Okay, I hope that answers your question, Viresh. So going ahead, any more questions? Final call to ask more questions.
Yeah, sorry, I just dropped off because power cut.
Yeah, I just saw
Yes.
on you on a black screen. Not an issue, Vivek.
Cool. Uh, I think we have pretty much have all answered all the questions,
Yep.
and you, uh, cool. There is one question. Why did you choose um, Azure and not GCP? And why did you choose Azure, not GCP?
Okay, yeah, I mean, why Azure and
Okay.
not Gypsy? One, because I can take that. One is because my team is familiar with Azure services, and the other thing is Azure, Microsoft has provided as a, it's very cost effective when we are deploying the solutions compared to GCP. So that's one of the key factors that plays in for a startup, cost effectiveness and familiarity for the team when they are making changes, developing. Yeah.
I mean, I think
And
the
also
questions just
definitely one thing is the kind of
go ahead, mother. Sorry.
sorry. Yeah, I mean, one more thing is that the kind of support that we were getting from Microsoft for sure. I mean, as a part of this Microsoft for Startups program, I think Vignan kind of regularly interacts with the architects, and Vinayak also is kind of one of the mentor who actually kind of helped us. So we also interact with a lot of solution architects who actually are helping us in the development of our architecture and all the technical aspects of it. I think that's also one of the key reasons why we have chosen Microsoft Azure over the other platforms.
We are slightly over time, but there is a lot of questions coming in the chat. So I'll just take one question from Ranjit. Uh, it's basically do you use Azure for telematics on the user side as well?
Yeah, I mean, the plan is to start
Yes,
using Azure
I
services.
believe, right,
Currently, I
Vignan? Yeah.
mean, we are already, yeah. So we are already using Azure VM for currently deploying the telematics solution. The other part of the is like getting the live data and everything. We are planning to start using Azure IoT services as well. That will really help us. For a lot of time can be saved while developing the solution. Yeah.
Cool. I think we questions will keep coming in. Maybe you can take a look at the chat, and probably whichever questions we have not answered, probably you can go back and answer. And since we are
Sure.
just over time, I'm just cutting it short. Um, Thank you, Vinayak, for being here. Thank you, Madhav, Vignan, for sharing all of these insights. I know as I told you yesterday, I was looking for EV vehicle, and you gave me a platform, which is really good. No? Now we can do the test drives and all those things, which I typically didn't know. So that's the whole point, right? That's the beauty of building startups as well. So cool. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing this, and we have a couple of other startups coming in as well within, I think in 2 weeks we have one more startup coming in. So do join us. Whoever has joined us, do join us as well again. And uh, you know it's basically, if you listen to different founders, you'll get an idea of how you can go and build a startup, and how, if you're already building a startup, what are the things you need to do. One of the amazing insight which Vignan shared was, start with VM and then move to container apps, then move to Azure community service. That's how the path should look like if you're building a startup, and not just directly jumping into Kubernetes service and building everything there and burning your cost as well, right? That's the way you build a cost effective solution. That's a great learning from this whole thing. So thanks for being here, Madhav and Vignan.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Thank you, thank you. Thanks a lot, Vivek, and thanks a lot, Vinayak, for actually having us over here. And yeah, we really thank Microsoft for Startups for providing all the support they have been providing all this while. And yeah, we definitely look forward to have more such interactions, and I mean, seek your inputs as well in the development of our products.
Yeah, and I mean, hey, we wanted to buy EV vehicles, so we wanted to buy EVs, so we helped you. Okay, see you. Thank you very much. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
being
Thank
here.
you,
Thank
Thank you
you.
thank
for
you.
being here.
Thanks a lot.